Hey friends, welcome back to Theme Park Guy Productions. In today's video, I'll be sharing with you my top 11 roller coasters at Six Flags Over Georgia. This is an amusement park located inside Austell, Georgia, which is about 10 to 15 minutes outside of Atlanta. And yes, this park is technically home to 12 roller coasters, however, I have not ridden all of them, so there is one roller coaster that will not be included in this video, that being Georgia Gold Rusher. This is the park's newest roller coaster, and the reason why it won't be included is because it was not open during my visit. This is because that they are currently waiting on parts, and apparently it has been closed for majority of the season, so I assume this is probably a harder credit to get on. So hopefully it doesn't have the same fate that Deja Vu did back in the day. But yeah, I was not able to get on that coaster. Due to that fact, I don't think it is fair to rank that coaster. However, I have ridden the other coasters. So without further ado, let's get started. Number 11, Joker's Funhouse Coaster. This is the Chance Rides Kiddie Coaster, and it takes the last place spot because it is the tamest coaster in the park. However, for a kid's coaster, it has a larger layout and the turns are pretty fun. However, due to its mild nature, it does take the last place spot. Number 10, Dahlonega Mine Train. This is an aerodynamics mine train coaster and the park's oldest operating coaster. And for a mine train, this coaster packs in a decent thrill. It is a janky coaster, but it's got 3 lift hills, some fun turns and small dips and hills, and the tunnel finale is quite fun. This is why I consider the ultimate recipe for a quality mine train coaster. Plus, it's a nice long ride, which I do appreciate. It's not my favorite aero mine train, but it is a true classic for this park. Number 9, Blue Hawk. This is a Vekoma MK1200 coaster, and it is often regarded as one of the most notorious roller coasters out there due to its rough ride experience. However, I really don't find this coaster to be that bad, and that is due to the fact that it has vest restraints, which eliminates any possible head pain. Plus, the inversions are quite unique, and I love the head choppers this ride has. You feel like your head's going to be decapitated at any moment, and it's a standout element to this coaster. Vekoma has since come out with newer and better coasters over time, but this is still a classic for this manufacturer, and I overall do enjoy it. It's not higher on this list due to the competition, but I would not sleep on this coaster. Number 8, Great American Scream Machine. This is a classic PTC wooden coaster, and this ride is quite simple. It's an out and back wooden coaster that delivers you some nice airtime. Plus, you go over the waters and into the fields behind the park, so it's nice and secluded. They did change the coaster quite up a bit since my last ride on it in 2017 by giving it trains. Yes, I know it's from one of my least favorite roller coasters ever, the Georgia Cyclone, and they also did retract portions of the track, so honestly, it actually felt smoother than I remember it in 2017. While the airtime is definitely nowhere near as good as I remembered it being, because when I rode it in 2017 it had the buzz bar restraints, so it allowed you to get some incredible airtime. But it is still one of the best classic wooden coasters around due to its larger layout, and I overall do enjoy this roller coaster. Number 7, Georgia Scorcher. This is a B&M stand-up coaster, and I know people are not necessarily a fan of the stand-up model. However, this is one of the rare coasters that you don't necessarily mind that it's a stand-up coaster. What makes Georgia Scorcher stand out is that it has a very exciting layout, and it runs smoother than the other stand-up coasters out there. Cough cough, Vortex at Carowinds. Plus, it's got a nice roar to it, and I like the new colors they have in this roller coaster compared to my previous rides. Yeah, it does still run a little rough, but the inversions are tons of fun, and I overall think this is a stand-up coaster worth checking out. Don't sleep on the Georgia Scorcher because it's a stand-up. You gotta give it a try. Number 6, the Riddler Mindbender. This is a Schwarzkopf looping coaster, and yes, it unfortunately dropped a bit in my overall rankings. However, it's still the best Schwarzkopf in my opinion. What I love about this coaster is that it has 2 incredibly forceful vertical loops, and this ride uses the terrain to its advantage. Plus, it still runs fairly smooth for its age. The reason it dropped was because they did change the trains, so it didn't run as fast as the original trains did. I remember riding this in 2017, and this coaster provided some strong ejector airtime and some crazy laterals. The coaster still delivers some good airtime, but it is tamer now, unfortunately. Overall, like I said, it's still a great coaster, but definitely not the same as I remember it being. Number 5, Superman Ultimate Flight. This is a B&M flying coaster located in the back of the park, and I've done 2 of these clones, the other being at Six Flags Great Adventure. However, this is the original, and I do prefer this version of the ride, with the main reason being due to the terrain usage. You fly over some hills and through a tunnel, and it gives this clone more of a character than its sister coasters at the other Six Flags parks. Plus, the pretzel loop is such a fantastic inversion. I unfortunately didn't get to ride this coaster on my most recent visit due to technical issues. However, I rode it in 2017 and I still remember that it was a pretty good flying coaster. However, it pales in comparison to larger flying coasters such as Manta and Tatsu. However, it is a pretty good coaster overall. Number 4, Daredevil Dive. This is a Gerstlauer Eurofighter, and all I gotta say is that I don't remember this ride being this good. However, on my most recent trip to the park, I was quite surprised by how punchy the airtime and laterals are. Daredevil Dive features a beyond vertical drop and numerous inversions that you take at a rapid fire pace, with the final inversion giving you some great hang time. It also runs super smooth, and I overall find this coaster to be one of the more underrated ones out there. Now, the capacity of this coaster is not the greatest, but that can be said for all the Eurofighter coasters out there, so I'd recommend riding this early in the day or later in the evening for the shortest waits. But this is one roller coaster that is worth riding, and it's definitely my favorite Eurofighter so far. Number 3, Batman the Ride. This is a clone B&M inverted coaster, and I don't know what it is about this particular clone, but it is easily the best Batman clone out there. Batman the Ride is a very compact invert that throws you through numerous inversions, and you pull some punishingly intense positive G-forces throughout the experience. However, the reason this is the best Batman clone is because it runs way faster than the other clones do. I have now ridden 5 Batman clones total, and this one runs the fastest. It numbs my legs in a way that the other clones do not, and it's just a G-force monster. Plus, the little bits of theming in the queue and in the station are really neat touches to the overall experience. I was very devastated that I did not get to ride this coaster on my most recent visit, as it was closed for the day. However, I will never forget my rides on this coaster from 2017 where I pretty much blacked out, and if you love positive G-forces, this is your coaster. Number 2, Goliath. This is a B&M hypercoaster and is considered to be one of the best hypercoasters out there. Goliath not only focuses on the quality airtime that a B&M hyper can provide, but it also pulls some surprisingly good positive G-forces. This is not your ordinary B&M Hyper. What makes this coaster unique is that it goes outside the park and over the roads, which not many coasters do, so you can see this coaster driving up to the park and on the highway. Next, the airtime that this coaster delivers is quite strong and intense, especially on the final hills. It feels like an RMC, which is nuts. Lastly, halfway through the ride, you go through a very powerful and intense 540-degree helix where you pull some strong positive G-forces that can even make the most experienced riders gray out. Goliath does run a little rattly, but is considered to be an older hyper now, so not the biggest deal ever. However, it's overall one of my top B&M hypers, a top coaster in the park, and one of the best coasters out there. Number 1, Twisted Cyclone. This is an RMC hybrid conversion of the original Georgia Cyclone, and after I got off the original coaster, I said that they needed to RMC this immediately, as it was one of the most dreadful roller coasters I had ever experienced, and they did just that. 9 years later, after riding the Georgia Cyclone, I finally got to experience Twisted Cyclone, and that conversion well paid off. This coaster delivers some very powerful RMC ejector airtime, twists through some powerful and unique inversions, and it's a well-paced roller coaster. Plus, it runs super smooth just like any RMC should. This coaster is definitely on the short side, so I do consider it to be a lower tier RMC, but it's still one of the best coasters that I have done so far. A weaker tier RMC in my eyes is still better than a higher tier B&M Looper, and this is, in my opinion, the best roller coaster at Six Flags Over Georgia and a fantastic roller coaster from RMC. To summarize this video up, I do consider Six Flags Over Georgia to be a lower tier Six Flags park. However, it still has a strong roller coaster collection, whether that be a classic like Great American Scream Machine or the Riddler Mindbender, to a big high-intense thrill attraction like Goliath, Batman the Ride, or Twisted Cyclone. Six Flags Over Georgia has something for everybody in the party to enjoy, and this is how I would rank the roller coasters at Six Flags Over Georgia. I will have to go back another year to ride the Georgia Gold Rusher, so when I do, I will update this list for you guys, but for now, this is how I'd rank the roller coasters of the park. So without further ado, I'm going to end the video here. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, feel free to give this video a like, and don't forget to subscribe as well for more videos in the future if you enjoyed this one. And comment below, what are your favorite coasters in the park? What would you rank the coasters here? And don't forget to turn on those post notifications so you guys know when to upload a video. And as always, make sure to check out Theme Park Guide Productions as well on all social media platforms. Linktree will be in the description below. I will see you guys next time, and as always, you are clear for dispatch.